It feels like there's been sort of a prominent dialogue recently about something that we actually addressed in a mailbag question last week, which is that the faces of the league are still the same guys who have been the faces of the league for a decade or even more in the case of a LeBron or a KD, that being those two and Steph. If you had to take one of those old goats for a playoff run this year out of those three, who would you take, Logan?
It's a tough question. I think I'd take LeBron though. And
Wow.
yeah, I know that's kind of wild to say at 39 years old. This year, LeBron's at 25, basically 7.5 and 7.5 on 52, 39, 73 splits. And really the only concern I have with taking LeBron is the effort question, right? Possession to possession, is LeBron going to give me 100%? And I don't think so. But I think with everything else that he gives me, I would still take him. I trust him to step up his game in big moments and to take his game up a notch. He's still as imposing and downhill as a physical force as ever. He's still a great floor general and playmaker. And, this is a real career shooting year for what we've gotten from LeBron in the past couple of seasons. So the skill is still there. I still think he can take his game up another level. My only question really is about effort. And that's why I would consider a guy like Steph Curry, because I don't think LeBron's going to give you 100% on defense. And Steph's 2 for me. KD's probably 3 out of this bunch. And, I'd be happy to take any of these guys. Steph I would consider because with LeBron, like I said, you're not getting that same defensive impact, so defense really doesn't really factor in at all to me on this question. You think about Steph's gravity as a shooter, all the attention that he demands. Steph's going to take his game up a notch in the playoffs. He does not fear the big moments. Like, take that Kings series last year. Young team trying to slay an old dragon. The core of Curry, Draymond, Klay Thompson. I mean, the veteran guard just stepped on their necks in the big moments and finished them off. They just big dogged the Kings. And Steph did. When they needed to, Steph stepped up. So it's close for me between Steph and LeBron, but even though LeBron's 39, man, I think there's another gear for him to kick into. And the ironic part is just the Lakers just have to get there again. Like, again, last year, man, everybody wrote the Lakers off, Carson. Everybody called us crazy. Well, one, I think it's so ironic. Everybody called us crazy for having these big expectations for the Lakers. And then, after they said that our expectations were crazy, after they overachieved their expectations, we moved the needle and said, it was a complete disappointment because they got swept in the Western Conference Finals. We had to move move the needle. It's just funny how we just change the narrative every playoff series.
Of course.
I'm still taking LeBron, man. I know that sounds ridiculous at this old age, but I'm not betting against the King. I still think there's another gear that he can kick up to. Again, I know that I'm not getting 100%. I know I'm not getting clamps, lock down LeBron every defensive possession, but he still gives me a ton offensively, and he demands a ton of attention offensively. So, I'm taking the old man.
It doesn't sound ridiculous to me at all. I still have a whole lot of faith in playoff LeBron because I have a whole lot of faith in dialed in LeBron. And he does have a couple advantages over these other two. One is, to me, when he wants to, he still does have the biggest defensive impact. KD can be really effective as a help defender, as a rim protector. But I think that LeBron has the most overall impact when you think about he can blow stuff up as a low man. He's so physically imposing in those one-on-one matchups. So he has that two-way upside. And then offensively, again, it comes down to that physical imposition and the control that he can exert over the game, which he's done less and less over these years. But you still know that if LeBron wants to grind you down for a quarter, if it's running pick and roll, if it's attacking mismatches out of the post over and over again, he has the physical dominance to get to the rim a whole lot, and he has the playmaking to punish you for helping with just brilliant passes. So I definitely expect him to elevate his game the most in that playoff setting. I still think that Steph is the dude who is best built to carry you at this point because LeBron does have that ceiling. Maybe for a single game, he has the highest ceiling, but over the entirety of a run, I just think he is going to pick his spots more. Steph is the dude who we have seen go absolutely berserk individually in the last two playoff runs. And even this season, in a down year for him is 28-5 on better than 63% true shooting. And in these last 4 games, we have seen 3 masterclasses from Steph. 46 on the Lakers. Obviously, LeBron was also incredible in that game. That was so much fun to watch. Then he goes 37, 8, and 7 on 70% true shooting, or 70% shooting from the field versus Philly. Then he drops 60 on the Hawks. 2 of those come in losses, but that is not on Steph. The three-point shot making in particular has been unfathomable. Over his last 4 games, he's averaging 7.8 made threes per game, Logan, on 47% shooting. And that ability to just explode, I still don't think we see from LeBron at this age. I think that he is still undeniably the most complete offensive engine, even though KD is having a historically great shooting season. And I mean that seriously. Like, by percentage from deep, he's having the 12th best season ever with a minimum of 5 threes attempted per game. And basically everybody else above him is just straight up catch and shoot guys. It's your Kyle Korvers, your JJ Redicks. He is doing this shoot and hang pulls, as Chet would say. It's OD. He's also shooting 84% at the rim. Like, KD, 28, 6, and 6 on 65% true shooting. That is nasty. But again, Steph is going to put more overall stress on a defense.
He's shooting what at the rim?
84% in the restricted area. It's ridiculous. It's
Steph
disgusting.
Curry.
No, KD.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, he's not forcing a lot of really tough looks at the rim, but it's an unfathomable number. His efficiency from everywhere is just ridiculous. So KD is special still, but it's kind of the same fundamental difference that they've always had. And again, I do worry on KD relying on those long twos just a bit too much in playoff settings and against really physical wing defenders. If it's Jason Tatum 2 years ago, if it's Aaron Gordon last year, he can diminish a little bit. Steph, we have seen in the worst offensive circumstances, right? KD is playing with much better spacing. He's got 2 other devastating on-ball guys. He's got really good spot-up shooters around him. Steph, it's like you're the only dude who can threaten us with the ball in your hands, and sometimes you're playing with these clunky 2 big looks with Draymond and Looney out there, and still, he's torching what was the best playoff defense last year with the Lakers, and could have torched them more if he had a good outside shooting series. Like, he missed some makeable looks, but he was still penetrating consistently. He was playmaking at such a high level. His last 2 playoff runs, he's 28.5 points, 6 assists a game on 60% true shooting. And in there you have the title run, which was unbelievable. One of the probably 15 to 20 best individual finals performances we have ever seen over the course of that series. Then you have the Kings series, where Steph reached as high a level as a scorer as we've really ever seen from him. Game 7, one of the 3 best games he's ever played. And then again, he still controlled that Lakers series in such uphill circumstances. So to me, he's just the guy in the last 2 postseasons who has proven it. He is the guy who doesn't have a Devin Booker to lean on, doesn't have an Anthony Davis to lean on, doesn't have a Lakers team defense to lean on for stretches, or even the secondary creation from Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell. And he still just, through that sheer offensive force, can will you to win these playoff series. Maybe it doesn't happen this year, but I think that's because of issues with the Warriors supporting cast. Individually, it's close. I think you could make a case for any of these guys, and in their circumstances, it's going to be easier for LeBron or for KD to be the guy who actually wins a playoff series, or maybe even 2. But I think if you drop Steph into those situations, or if you dropped him with equivalent complementary talent built around him, he would still be the guy for me.
Old goats excluded. Is Steph somewhere in that 3 to 5 range for you?
I think so still. Yeah, it's getting tough this year, man.
Yeah.
It's getting tough with the ascent of SGA. He's got to be somewhere in that mix. But Steph's just proven it so many times. And these last couple years has been at his best in those playoff scenarios. The title year, that was a down regular season for Steph. The people started wondering if he had fallen off. And then he played as well in that postseason run as he has in any postseason run. So, yeah, I think he's probably still got to be in my top 5. But again, Kawhi's not quite in that old GOATs range. He's a few years younger, but he's another guy who maybe isn't going to be in the MVP conversation. Maybe isn't going to put up his flashiest numbers ever, but come playoff time, he is right up there in that top tier for the reasons we've talked about. He just consistently is an assassin in those situations. I might take him over any of these guys.
I was going to say, if you could take... If health was excluded, I think you could make an argument for Kawhi at 1. Like, he's so...
At 1? Over Jokic?
Oh, not over Jokic. My bad. I can't.
Okay.
I can't forget about the big serve.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Don't forget about Big Honey.
Kawhi, when he's locked in, it's like Mahomes. That's the feeling. I get a Thanos feel where it's just like, damn, man, you can't stop him. You can't stop him.
Yeah, dude, I'm going to be thinking for months about our top 10 players going into the postseason.
Oh,
We did that last year. We're going to do it again
Guess where I
this year.
Guess where I put Steph Curry.
Yeah, you put him at 10, buddy. You put him at 10 last year. And I think I had Kawhi at 5, maybe. And I think I'm going to have him somewhere up there again this year. He just consistently plays as well as anybody on the planet, probably outside of Jokic.